This is my audience, and this is my speech. Are you a parent? If so, wouldn't you want to protect your child from anything that's going to hurt them? Many doctors and researchers have said cleaner water, cleaner facilities, and living condition is what to thank to getting rid of disease. I love my child enough to demand a little something more than stuff from the scientific community before I shoot my child up with a harmful vaccine that clearly does not work and is the main reason disease is still present in today's society. You might ask yourself, what does this silly girl mean? More scientific studies. There are thousands of them out there that clearly show vaccines are great. Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you. This is false, and here's evidence. First off, the studies and the vaccines themselves are done by the makers of the vaccines. Let me say that again. That old, fat, rich, bald guy who makes millions of dollars from people using his vaccines is doing his own studies that say, hey guys, my vaccines are safe. Let me inject your precious little baby with my vaccine. And then he's making millions off of it. What brings me to my second stance against vaccines and supporting the rich, fat, old, bald guy. The CDC has a very close connection with the big pharmaceutical companies. In the summer of 2011, Merck president Julie Gildenberg said in a news interview that she's very bullish on vaccines, as she recounted the various ways she helps Merck sell their products. She decided then to leave her very well-paying job as the director of the CDC and took a job with Merck, the largest vaccine company manufacturer, to make a couple $1 million a year more. As parents, one of my biggest questions I know I ask is what happens if this hurts my child? Because the CDC and the vaccine manufacturers are so tightly knit, they came up with the proposed bill that turned into law, the NVICA, No Fault Composition System. Guess what this means? Better yet, I'm going to tell you. It means that if your child becomes sick, becomes a becomes sick, or worse, even dies from a vaccine, you cannot sue the manufacturers. They take no responsibility. How can they take no responsibility? The answer is simple. People do not read the vaccine inserts. That's how. If they did, they would never agree to subject their child to the vaccines. I'll give you an example of this. If we look at the MMR vaccine, which is the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine, maybe you will understand the true danger of the vaccine and not the disease itself. The CDC official website that anyone can access at any time says that measles is an illness characterized and generalized by a rash lasting up to 3 days, a temperature of up to 101 degrees, and a cough, all lasting up to 3 days. No death has been reported. The MMR vaccine can cause brain encephalitis, and brain encephalitis does cause autism. You can clearly see this on the vaccine insert that no one ever reads, and then you can find this information on the CDC website. You just have to be willing to look for it. I personally feel that a fever and a rash lasting up to 3 days is way less severe than living with autism for the rest of your life or with your child's life. People say that without vaccines, the world would be ridden with disease. I mean, come on. Let's take a look at this measles outbreak that happened at Disney World. And now it's all over the state. Again, did you die from measles? No, no one has. It's not something you can die from. How did this disease spark up? Spark up again, you might ask, a non-vaxxer. And I will tell you, live vaccines shed. If you are sick and unable to vaccinate, or an adult that has not been to the doctors for your boosters, yet you take your child to get vaccinated, you can get that disease from your child for up to 6 weeks. The vaccines are live and are the reason we are seeing these diseases still present in today's world. I'll wrap this up with some facts from the CDC and Dr. Eisenstein, who's a holistic doctor out of the University of Illinois, whom I've had the pleasure of meeting with on multiple occasions. Encephalitis and neurological damage are listed as a possible reaction on every single package insert. However, the doctors, they get paid money to not give you that unless you request it from the doctor. And then they just hold the garbage and take it and they give you a really big attitude. Vaccines are dangerous and people need to start questioning what they're putting inside of them, like fetuses, aborted fetus cells, and monkey kidneys. Finally, why can't we sue the pharmaceutical companies if and when your child or my child becomes vaccine damaged? Shouldn't they be held accountable? These are things to take into consideration when that doctor wants to hold your screaming child down and shove aborted fetus cells into his thigh. The positive ending in this, there is hope. Let's take a stance against the big pharmaceutical companies. Let's educate before we vaccinate, as Dr. Eisenstein has always told me. Get the facts first, talk to as many doctors, and ask as many possible questions that you feel, and weigh out the pros and cons of vaccinating. Then make your decision. Do not just trust your doctor, who will get a big bonus check at the end of every year for every vaccine he or she injects into a child or a person. You need to educate before you vaccinate. Thank you.